Okay, so for this sheet of notes, we're going to look at different forms of base 10 exponents. All right, so first, let's look at here 10 to the third, okay? Actually, I want to go over here to expanded form. 10 to the third, all right, what does that look like in expanded form? Expanded form just means like this. 10 to the third, that just means 10 times 10 times 10, okay? That's expanded form, all right? Um, and then for standard form, we're just multiplying all those 10s together. 10 times 10 is 100. 100 times another 10 is 1,000. So in standard form, 10 to the third, and that's 1,000. And then in this one, it says simplify the exponential form with no negative exponents. Well, in this case, it'll just be the same as the exponential form, 10 to the third. Okay, because that 3 is not a negative exponent anyways. It's just a positive 3. All right, so 10 squared. Okay, 10 squared is 10 times 10, right? 2 tens, right? All right, and 10 times 10 is 100. Okay, and then again, 10 squared is a simplified exponential form. All right, 10 to the first power, right? That's just 10, and 10 is just 10 because you're not being multiplied to anything. And then simplified exponential form, it's just 10 to the 1. All right, now 10 to the 0. This sometimes trips students up. We're going to use the pattern here. Every time the exponent becomes smaller by 1, what's happening to a 0? Right? You're losing a 0. So 10 to the 0, okay? 10 to the 0 is just going to be 1. You're just losing a 0. You're losing a 0 here, right? Just as you've always been doing as we've gone down, as we've taken away, we subtracted an exponent. We subtracted 1 from the exponent, okay? All right, so in expanded form, this is going to be just 1, and then simplified exponential form, well, that's just going to be 10 to the 0. All right, so using the same pattern, we're taking away a 0. So now I want you to think about what's happening to the decimal every time 1 is being subtracted from the exponent, right? Notice every time we subtract an exponent, the decimal is moving to the left. Okay, so 10, this was 10 to the 0, and then 10 to the 1, we moved the decimal over to the left. So 10 to the negative 1, okay? Now I'm gonna go ahead and do this here. 10 to the negative 1 is 0.1, right? It was here at 1 for 10 to the 0. We're just moving it to the left one, okay? Now, 10 to the negative 1, okay, seen with the negative exponents. Hey, negative exponents, okay? What that means is if you have a negative exponent, it's just a number between 0 and 1, okay? And when we write that as a fraction, we're going to write 1 over 10 to the 1, okay? 10 to the negative 1, well, that's 1 over 10 to the positive 1, okay? And here we're going to write 1/10, okay? 10 to the negative 2, okay, so I subtracted 1 from the exponent again, so I have to move the decimal over, right? 1 to the left. So this now it's going to be 0.01, okay? And now 10 to the negative 2, that's going to be 1 over 10 to the positive 2. Okay, so that negative exponent doesn't mean you have a negative value. It means you have a number between 0 and 1. Okay, and we're going to rewrite that as 1 over 10 to the positive 2. And then in expanded form, what you have is 1 over 10 times 1 over 10. 10 to the negative 3, all right, we got to move the decimal over again, 0.001. Okay, and that is 1 over 10 to the third. Okay, and 1 over 10 to the third is going to be 1 over 10 times 1 over 10 times 1 over 10. The last thing, I want you to write one other thing in this section here, all right? So this right here, 0.1, how do you say 0.1, right? Without saying the word point or dot or, how do you say that? What place value is that? 0.1 is the same thing as 1/10. All right, what place value is this one in? That's tenths, that's hundredths. Okay, so this is 1 over 100, or this is 1/100th. Right, what's 10 squared? 10 squared is 100. What place value is this one in? Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Okay, this is 1,000th. Okay, what's 10 to the third? 10 to the third, 10 times 10 times 10, that's 1,000. Okay.